Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to The Sauce, episode 2. Very excited to bring some more hockey content to you. So as you guessed from the title of this video, this is season recap thus far. So I thought about what I wanted to do for this video, and I know in the last video I talked about doing an in-depth dive of each division, but I kind of want to save that for a little bit later. I'm trying to keep it under 15 minutes if I can. So without further ado, I got no time to lose. Let's get saucing. Okay, so quickly starting off with the North Division. If you remember, my picks were Toronto Maple Leafs over at number 1, I had the Calgary Flames at number 2, I had the Vancouver Canucks at number 3, Montreal Canadiens at number 4. Currently, and again, everybody's played 2 to 3 games, so it's not a lot. I've seen some other hockey YouTubers, they've done a video similar to this, just overreacting to the first couple games. So I thought this would be fun to just do a short recap of the top 4 teams that I picked. So at number 1 so far is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Coming in second is the Montreal Canadiens. In third, the Calgary Flames. And in fourth, they had to mess up my top 4, the Winnipeg Jets. So my predictions aren't looking too bad thus far. So far, Toronto is at number 1, a record of 3-1, doing fairly well, that offensive powerhouse that we've come to know. And again, their star players, they keep performing. Freddie Anderson, their goaltenders, had a few questionable games. And the blue line, maybe it's just too soon. Again, I don't want to overreact, but the blue line worries me a little bit. Hopefully they'll pull it together and they can be that number 1 seed in this North Division. The next team is going to be the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens coming out swinging. They have one of the best goaltending tandems in the NHL. Carey Price, who's been one of the better goaltenders for as long as he's been in the league. And they just acquired Jake Allen in the offseason from the St. Louis Blues, and he's proven that he's going to be a great backup for Carey Price. They have a lot of rookies that are just shining right now. It's fantastic. Alexander Romanov on the blue line, he's just showing that he's going to be a staple on that blue line if he keeps up this production. Nick Suzuki is picking up where he left off last season. Tyler Toffoli's starting to get into the scoring. They look really good. They're a very cohesive unit, and they could definitely, if they keep this up, they could definitely challenge Toronto for that number 1 spot. Okay, before I move on to the next team, the Calgary Flames, I realized I forgot Montreal's record. Their record of 2-1 as we speak, as I'm shooting this video. So again, the record's reflecting they're doing pretty well. All right, so in third place, similar to Montreal, they have a 2-1 record, is the Calgary Flames. They're doing well. Jacob Markstrom has proven to be a great addition in net for them. The only thing with Calgary is just the consistency with their offensive group. That defensive core is pretty solid. They've had a lot of pieces move in and out of Calgary, but I'll tell you what, they're pretty sturdy team, so hopefully they can keep up the consistency this year into the playoffs. All right, and rounding out our top 4 are the 2-1 Winnipeg Jets. So the Winnipeg Jets have one of the best goalies in the league in Connor Hellebuck, and he's playing great for them. No surprise there. And then, you have your forward group, Patrick Laine, Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor. That forward group is dangerous when it gets going. The only question mark for the Winnipeg Jets is that blue line. At least in my opinion, I think their blue line is one of the weaker ones in the NHL. But hey, right now as it stands, they're in that top 4. It's a reason why I didn't have them in the top 4, was that blue line. So I bet you're wondering, so what happened to the Vancouver Canucks, one of the teams that I picked to be in the top 4? Well, right now they're 1-3, not doing so well. I don't know what it is. They're not clicking as they did in the playoffs. That's what I hope would catapult them into this season. Braden Holtby doesn't look bad for them. Their offense is sneaky dangerous. Their defensive core, they've had some moving pieces in and out, similar to Calgary. But I don't know. Overall, it's just a mystery right now. But it's too early in this season, so we'll see. We'll see if I'm right yet. All right, so moving on to the West Division. I'm going to kind of keep it in the same rhythm that I had the first video. Started off with the North Division, the West, the Central, and the East. So for the West Division, my predictions were Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis, and Minnesota. And that's the exact order it's in a few games into the season. So that feels pretty good early on, I'm not going to lie. But let's get into it a little bit more. So starting off with the powerhouse Vegas Golden Knights, 3-0 to start the season. I mean, their offense is humming along. Their defensive core, one of the best in the league, and their goaltending tandem is arguably the best tandem in the league. With Marc-Andre Fleury backing up Robin Lehner, watch out for the Vegas Golden Knights this season if they keep this up. Coming in at number 2, the offensive juggernauts, the Colorado Avalanche. Offensive core looking good. Little worried right now. Andrei Burakovsky, I believe, is injured. I'm not sure for how long, but he was showing to be a good replacement in the absence of Mikko Rantanen, who's one of their top wingers. So again, they're doing well as we knew they would. Their blue line's looking fantastic. In net with Philip Grubauer and Pavel Francouz, I don't know, they just have to stay healthy and stay consistent. Again, with a lot of these teams, shaky goaltending in a shortened season can really do you in, but I think the Colorado Avalanche will be fine this year. Okay, so coming in at number 3, a couple years removed from the Stanley Cup, the St. Louis Blues. Looking good, looking solid. They had a pretty rough game against the Colorado Avalanche not too long ago, though. It was 8-0 loss. That's, ouch. So, we're a little worried about that, but again, they have some young guys coming up like Jordan Kyrou. Trying to insert him into the lineup. He's looking great so far. So St. Louis Blues, not much to worry about, but again, 8-0 loss. Oh boy. And then at number 4, the Minnesota Wild, the team that I had sneaking in there. I'll tell you what, I love watching their rookie, Kirill Kaprizov. Boy, I hope I said that right. Kirill Kaprizov. Well, he's who I named my fantasy hockey team after, so he's doing pretty good thus far. The Wild, they've always been that, we're good, but we're not good enough to go to that next step. So I really hope they take that next step this year, or honestly, they just tank and get that first overall pick for them because they need something like that. And thus far, the addition of Cam Talbot and net has proved to be pretty good. They just need to get some consistency going. Again, it's the first couple games of the season. I'm trying not to overreact, but it's pretty nice to see that my top 4 picks are what the top 4 are for now. I'm liking that. Let's move on. All right, and in the Central, if you recall, I had the Tampa Bay Lightning at number 1, Carolina Hurricanes at number 2, Blue Jackets at number 3, and Dallas Stars at number 4. Just a quick recap. So here's where it gets tricky. The Dallas Stars, who I had at the number 4 spot in this division, haven't played a single game this season yet. All due to COVID protocols, all due to positive COVID tests. I mean, it's a scary thing. I'm hoping that that first game for them comes soon. They're gonna look really rusty. I hope everyone's okay on that squad. You know, I hope to see them back on the ice soon. And I want them to make my prediction right. So come on, Dallas Stars. So hopefully we can all pull it together. You guys can stay healthy and we can get started. But moving on. All right, so currently number 1 is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They played 2 games against the Chicago Blackhawks. Both games they put up 5 goals. Offense looks great, defense looks solid, and the big cat, Andrei Vasilevskiy, looks just as good as he always has. I know it's my favorite team, and I don't want to seem biased, but I don't think I can really say more than that. They've looked good. They have another game coming up against Columbus soon, so let's move on to the next one. At the number 2 spot, one of my best friends' favorite team, the Florida Panthers. I'll tell you what, even without their number 1 goaltender, Sergei Bobrovsky, the Florida Panthers are looking pretty good. Their defense has always been a worry spot for me. Similar to the Winnipeg Jets, their defense was never really consistent, but again, they're just one of those teams. They can score at will. They're a fantastic, fun team to watch offensively. One of the former Tampa Bay Lightning, Carter Verhaeghe's on their top line. He's looking good. I think he might stay there. They got Anthony Duclair from Ottawa, who just had a career season, and I hope he really does well with the Florida Panthers. Every time I root for them, they disappoint me, and I know my buddy feels the same way. So I did have them right outside the top 4, but I'm telling you what, these first 2 games, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Hopefully the Florida Panthers can keep it up. I wouldn't mind if they made me wrong with my top 4 pick, but currently they're sitting at number 2. All right, at number 3, probably one of the most consistently defensive teams. They always just have good defensemen through the pipeline, the Nashville Predators. I had the pleasure of watching a live game in Nashville years ago, and I'll tell you what, that place is electric. Unfortunately, with COVID, there's no fans in the stands, but I always like cheering for the Nashville Predators. They're just a fun team to watch. And UC Saros is having a great start to his season in net. The Nashville Predators always seem to keep games close. Their concern has always been the offense, which is very different for most of the teams on this list. I feel like the Dallas Stars that I've mentioned before are the only team off the top of my head that I can think of that just have that same inconsistency with offense. So if they can get that rolling, they might be able to push and compete for a spot in the top 4. Let's move on. So at number 4, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. And I'll tell you what, I know they played Detroit. I know Detroit has been considered the easy team to vote in the bottom in this division. But Detroit's playing scrappy. They're looking good. I hope Detroit can fight for a top 4 spot. That's what I like about these division lineups. Some of these teams can surprise us. And I watched a Detroit-Columbus game, and Detroit was just this scrappy team, and Columbus has always been that way, but Detroit just put up a fight with Columbus, and it was just so entertaining to watch. But anyway, back to Carolina. So Carolina, like I said, they're at number 4. The Carolina Hurricanes, offensive consistency, defensive consistency. The only worry with me is their goaltending. So they don't have all-star goaltending. They have Peter Mrazek and James Reimer. So they're good goaltenders, but it's more of a timeshare in net. So they'll split the time between each, like they'll split the starts is what I'm trying to say. So one game it's Reimer, one game it's Mrazek, maybe 2 games Reimer, 2 games Mrazek. That's my only concern with the Carolina Hurricanes is consistent goaltending and good goaltending. Their offense can get it done. We know Andrei Svechnikov has some tricks up his sleeve. Sebastian Aho can light the lamp any day of the week. And their defensive core is just so fun to watch as well. But we'll see if all goes well for the bunch of jerks. Moving on. So I forgot to do the standings. So the Tampa Bay Lightning, as I said, are number 1 with a record of 2-0. The Florida Panthers, number 2, also 2-0. Nashville Predators at number 3, record of 2-1. And the Carolina Hurricanes at number 4, also 2-1. What happened to the Columbus Blue Jackets that I picked at number 3? Well, they're doing okay. They're 1-2. They got off to a very slow start, but again, early in the season. We'll see what happens. Okay, so now for the toughest division to predict, the East Division. And this is not going as planned. So just a quick recap of who I predicted. Number 1 was the Philadelphia Flyers, number 2 was the New York Islanders, number 3 the Washington Capitals, and number 4 the New York Rangers. So at number 1 with a record of 3-1, the Philadelphia Flyers. Their goaltending is looking great. Carter Hart, minus the 6-1 loss to Buffalo. He's looked really good. Their offense is humming along, and their power play is looking fantastic. Their defensive core looking pretty solid. They have some up-and-coming guys in the lineup, I've noticed. And they're not that super defensive structured team, but the defensemen on the team can shoot at will, and they're just a fun team to watch. So far, Philadelphia Flyers are looking pretty good. Let's see if they can keep up the consistency. So coming in at number 2 with a record of 2-0-2, the Washington Capitals. Those 2 overtime losses to Pittsburgh. Man, Pittsburgh always seems to have their number. Ovi versus Crosby. It'll continue until those guys both retire. But anyway, Washington Capitals. Their young goaltending, led by Ilya Samsonov, they're looking good. Again, it's been a long off season. Young goaltender, unproven goaltender. He's very consistent. He was very consistent, last season, and I think he's going to build on it this season. Their offense is humming along as always. Ovechkin lighting the lamp. I'm really hoping he can get to Wayne Gretzky's goal record. I know that'll take a couple of seasons, but for all my non-hockey fans out there that are trying to get into the game, look up Wayne Gretzky goal record. Look up Alexander Ovechkin. He's a couple seasons removed. If he can keep up his normal pace of 40 to 50 goals a season, he may beat Gretzky's record before he retires. But anyway, that's enough about Ovechkin. Their offense is looking fairly well. Their defensive core, I know they made some changes, but adding Big Z on the blue line just adds some leadership. He's a massive human. And just having that veteran presence and just having him on the blue line, I know he was called to be a liability now in his older age, but I mean, if you put him in that middle, that second pairing, I mean, I think he's a great addition to that lineup. Again, just bringing that veteran presence. Now with a new coach of Peter Laviolette, I think the Washington Capitals are in good hands. Coming in at number 3, the surprise team, the New Jersey Devils, with a record of 2-0-1. New Jersey was towards the bottom of the league last year, and in these first 3 games, they're looking fantastic. Corey Crawford announced his retirement, which put a damper on having some consistent goaltending for the New Jersey Devils, but Mackenzie Blackwood, who was a rookie last year, is looking pretty good so far. Jack Hughes, one of their rookie sensations that they picked up, had a very quiet freshman year, but his sophomore year is looking pretty good. The Devils could be a surprise team. if they can keep this up. I just want to see some more fun hockey. Moving on. So at number 4 with a record of 2-1, the New York Islanders. They're not at number 2 like I thought they would be, but they're in the top 4. They're a stout defensive team. They had a great back-to-back series with the New York Rangers. And I mean great for one team and not the other in both of those games. New York Islanders shut out the Rangers in Game 1. Rangers shut out the Islanders in Game 2. Very odd start to the season. However, they are a very stout defensive team. I don't think that's going to happen normally. But, you know, Semyon Varlamov in net is looking phenomenal. I'll tell you what, that game against the Boston Bruins where they blanked them 1-0. I know, not an exciting score. But Semyon Varlamov doing fantastic. And the Islanders, they may not wow you offensively, but they're stout defensively. Have I said stout before? Moving on. So that division's not looking too far off. The New York Rangers haven't had the best start to the season. They're a couple spots below the 4th spot, but I think they'll pick it up. They've had a few injuries, just inconsistencies. I think they'll find the rhythm eventually. Again, they were hot at the end of the season. I'm just hoping they can pick it up, get in that top 4. Just gotta make me look good. All right, that's it. How's my time? Under 15 minutes? If I didn't, my wife is gonna kill me. She's the one who does the editing. Pray for me, guys. Alright guys, so that's gonna do it for this episode of The Sauce. Again, just wanted to do a season thus far recap and just to see where my top 4 predictions were, how they were doing in the standings. So, as you can see, not too bad, not too far off, but I don't want to overreact. It's just the beginning, but I'm loving that hockey's back. It's exciting hockey to watch. I couldn't be happier. But I have a challenge for you all. So I know I talked about in the first video that I wanted to do an in-depth of each division, why I had each of the teams there. That proved to be a fairly lengthy video. So I have a challenge for you. If this video gets 56 likes, there's 56 games in a season. If this video gets 56 likes, we'll start off with the North Division. I'll go in my in-depth ranking from 1 to 7, who's going where and why. I'll mention a few players. Again, try to do some more in-depth hockey information for my hockey viewers out there. And for those that are looking to get into it, you may recognize a name or two. You may start to really like the logo. I'm hoping you're starting to watch some hockey after this video. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. So right over here, you can click there and watch the first video of The Sauce. Click over here to watch our videos for our channel, The Slice of Life. Again, hit that like button, hit subscribe, share it to your friends. If you hated this video, share it to your enemies, just shove it in their face. But thanks again, hit that notification bell if you want to get notified on any live and new videos coming through. Stay saucy.